Without further ado, I'll just pass it over to Joe.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Joe.
Good evening. Good evening. And so on the way here tonight, or this morning, I looked at the thermometer on the car. It was showing minus 14 degrees on the way over, and wind chill at 74 miles an hour. I'm not sure what that computed to, but it's somewhere in the negative 30 or 40 degrees. So that should help business. Maybe that's where guys are at right now. We're probably doing some no-heat calls that we wouldn't typically do this time of year, although I'm not sure there's any typical part for the year anymore. Mike told you my name, and it's Joe Trimbach. Oops, I'll just touch a button. Touched the wrong button. With Emerson. I'm going to do a different presentation today. I've done this one once, and I made a few changes. We've kind of looked at what we were doing, and it was primarily a sales presentation, and I wanted to kind of get away from that. I wanted to make it more educational. I think you guys will like that part. I want to kind of give you our vision of what we see going on in the marketplace, and where things are heading next. So that's part of the presentation. So the agenda is going to be talking a little bit about the Wi-Fi thermostats, the evolution of the thermostats, and we'll talk a little bit about the Internet of everything going on. I mean, if more and more happens, and it seems like, gosh, 18 years ago when I started working for Rodgers, I came in and I talked to Tom and I'd say, okay, here we got a gas valve and we got a thermostat, right? And then 12 months later I'd come back and I'd switch them, right? Because we had nothing new to talk about, a gas valve and a thermostat. And now the speed at which things change, just this month Emerson does a report, and in that report we have kind of an intelligence report on what's going on in the marketplace, and they compile all the information. It was 11 pages of information that just happened this month, including one of my competitors, Ecobee, who went and was purchased in part by Carrier. So, I mean, lots of things going on in the industry, and if you don't stay up with them, I mean, they'll go right past you, and it is more and more difficult to stay up with that stuff. We have more than just one part to switch. I'll talk a little bit about the Wi-Fi thermostat and what goes into the landscape, and how we see the Wi-Fi thermostat in that landscape, and where that goes, and very exciting stuff. And then we'll talk about the thermostat itself, Sensi, and it's a portion, but a small portion of the presentation. At the end, I will show you Sensi. We have it on my iPad, and we'll talk about it. I think Mike and I were talking just before we came up to a customer that wanted to run Sensi on their computer. So yeah, you can run it on a tablet, you can run it on a smartphone, you can run it on a computer, and that's what makes a powerful statement. And then after we're done with the presentation, and the guys from Vector are going to talk to you about the Wi-Fi rebate. And really, when you look at it, I mean, this thermostat is just over $100. With the rebate, it's basically a free thermostat. And what makes it even more simplistic and more attractive is just the way that it schedules. I think that's always been kind of the downfall, and we'll talk about what that means. And then we'll talk to you about what's coming, what's next, the home house automation, the home house hub. Starting to talk to some contractors that are seeing home house automation in play, so they go out and talk to a customer. This was a big 1 hour in Cincinnati, who went out on a job, had 2 thermostats, dual fuel thermostats, went out to the job, and the thermostats weren't connected anymore. The homeowner had made a change and gone to a home house automation piece. And now, unfortunately, what the homeowner didn't know on the home automation piece was that piece wasn't dual fuel. So now they had 2 thermostats on the wall that didn't work with dual fuel. Now the contractor had to go back in and try to figure out, hey, how do I blend what's in their home automation system with what we have? And so then he said, I just got out both instruction books and started reading. And then hours later, he figured it out. So it's not an easy, but you're going to be tasked, and that's where things are going. And you know, I usually start the presentation out with stuff like this. How many guys are using smartphones in the class today? So most, but not all. Most, but not all, right? Most, but maybe all around here. It's usually 70 to 80% of the class will have a smartphone. And they'll have internet access, which is great. And we're seeing that trend go higher and higher and higher. So if you had to guess in the industry what you thought was smartphone, I'm sorry, what was how many thermostats were sold in the big box stores, right, versus the contractor wholesale side? What do you think? What percentage? Jason, you want to take a guess at it? What percentage? How many are sold in big box stores, all thermostats, versus wholesale contractor side? 10% big box. 10%?
I think big box would sell more. I mean, it's easy,
What percent?
accessible. Let's say 40, 50.
For all thermostats, it's close, 50%. 50% big box has about 50%. Jackson and the contractor side have the other 50%. Now, to Mike's point, right, what percent of Wi-Fi thermostats are sold? Big box versus wholesale / contractor. 10% wholesale. Yep, exactly right. So he was thinking that probably in the first question. That's what I figured. But so he's right, and I think that's the challenge, and it's a unique challenge for us. And when I talk to contractors, I typically start it out by, you know, as a contractor, it's always been if it wasn't broke, I'd have to fix it because I'm the contractor and I can fix anything. And I know contractors. I have a contractor who lives across the street from me. He's a fantastic technician. He will fix anything. I don't care how old it is. This guy will rewire it, make it work, right? Which is fantastic. But what's interesting is, and I start to talk to Greg and the other contractors I meet, you know, you need to start evolving into this Wi-Fi marketplace. So when you walk into a house and you're going to fix something that's broke, and you walk by a thermostat that's hanging on the wall, and the homeowner has one of these, and they've got a tablet sitting on the table, you need to start stopping and looking at that product up on the wall. And if it's not a Wi-Fi product, you need to start asking a question. It's 6 simple words. Would you like to be connected? And if the answer is yes, right? Well, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, while I'm downstairs working on your furnace, it's probably an igniter. I'm going to clean your sensor. I got to do a clean and check. I'd be happy to come back up and talk to you about your thermostat. So it's a simple, quick conversation. And if you're not having that conversation with the homeowner, then we're going to get passed up. And I'm going to talk to you about why too. So I'm looking at this page and trying to look. I'm like, why don't these match up? So I want to talk to you about the evolution of thermostats. You know, back in the day, back in the 1500s, right, the first temperature control came out. It was opening the door or closing the window. But throughout history, that thermostat had basically the same function, and it was, you know, setting a temperature, looking at the current temperature, and trying to control some equipment. And then as we moved into the last 30 years, we saw the advent of digital thermostats come out. We saw some smaller digital thermostats, and they started to expand and have different roles. And then they started to do saving energy, right, and some advanced controls, some of the communicating processes. They had larger screens on them. And then over the last 5 years, we've got into the home automation piece. So we started talking about home automation. We started talking about Wi-Fi thermostats. It's really evolved from where things have been, and it will continue to make that evolution. And I think that's part of, as a contractor and as a wholesaler and as a manufacturer, we're continuing to try to, I hate to say the word push, but help the dealers evolve with what's coming. Because when we start talking about some other slides here, you'll see that there's lots of stuff coming. So the Internet of Things, I told you that it was the Internet of Things. I stopped at Lowe's this afternoon just kind of checking out the Internet of Things. Lots more stuff being connected. Matter of fact, one of the first two front panels that I saw were both connected products. One was a light, and I forget the other one was another home automation piece. So, you know, when you walk in, you're going to see a lot of different connected products. And it could be door locks, it could be washer and dryers, it could be light bulbs, thermostats, and everybody, all the manufacturers are trying to figure out how to get connected. Emerson's making the big jump into the connected piece, and I'll talk to you about that on some of the last slides. But yeah, we see that being such a big part of our business that we're going to have a dedicated division just to home automation. So very, very big part of the big picture moving forward. Absolutely. So what's important, right? So if you look at what's important, well, temperature controls. They're number one on homeowners' lists of what's important. So, you know, they like to control their shutters and blinds, but more importantly, some of their electronic pieces. And then as you start working your way up, entry doors and gates, some lighting, some home monitoring devices. My wife has ADT on her smartphone, right? And she also has Sensi. We own an art gallery. She can look at both of those. She's connected with both pieces of electronics on her device. So, and I think of us, you know, starting to get into the home automation. I'm already kind of warning her, hey, honey, here's what's going to happen. We're eventually going to have a home automation hub, and we're going to have more connected pieces and parts. You know, the Xbox downstairs and the TV set as a smart device. My TV just had 2 firmware push updates to it, and I didn't touch it in the last 3 months. It's a new Vizio smart TV, so that's really cool. So it's those type of things that are continuing to happen, even in the background when we don't see them. All right, here's an interesting slide. So just in 2012, only 3% of the 38 million thermostats, you know, had remote adjustments or were Wi-Fi capable. But in 2014, you'll notice over 30% of the units sold were connected. That's a big jump forward, major jump forward. And this, you're just starting to see some of the things that are happening. So the news says by 2017, the market's going to quadruple from 2 million to 8 million. Some other research, nearly 32 million smart thermostats will be installed worldwide by 2020, and the global forecast, you know, from 85 to 1.4 billion by the year 2020. And then here's the biggie, Wi-Fi is predicted to outsell a non-connected product in the next 5 years. So I start to talk to contractors about, hey, what are you installing? Have you tried a Wi-Fi? You know, it's a fad. I've had contractors tell me it's a fad. And I look at them and say, yeah, that internet thing's probably a fad too, right? So, I mean, it's about education, and it's really about making them comfortable. And some of those guys still have flip phones, and I tell them, don't be scared. Even if you've got a flip phone, the person that wants it is going to want to have, if they want Wi-Fi, they're going to have a connected device, a smartphone, a tablet, a computer. So even if you have a smartphone, most of the time they just want you to hang it on the wall and help them with the provisioning sometimes. So it's really not a scary process even for the guys that aren't connected yet. Here's some survey information. So the Wi-Fi thermostat business and what's available right now, Mike mentioned 10% on the pro side, and that was correct. We see 52% on the retail side, 31% on the online side, and 7% on the other, and that's 12-month thermostat sales. But what's interesting is the forecast on Wi-Fi and how it will eclipse a typical traditional thermostat in the very near future. So that's an interesting scope. And if you look at the business on that Wi-Fi side, man, it's just going straight up in the 2014 to 2019. So much so that my competitor has already told us, hey, we're not going to make it. This is the big guy. We're not going to make any new non-connected products from here on out. And a lot of you guys use that H brand. So they're done making the non-connected products, right? Everything from here on out, if it's new, it's going to be connected. We've got a refresh coming shortly, and honestly, we wouldn't have done that refresh had we known what we know now 3 years ago. But it's too late to stop now. So we'll have the refresh, we'll bring it out, and it'll be the last refresh you see from us on a non-connected product. Everything from here on out will be Wi-Fi. So, yep, we are geared toward that marketplace, and I think you see the same in the industry. There's lots of different Wi-Fi thermostats to look at as far as landscape, and everything from $100 all the way up to $300 or $400. And I think it kind of hit home with me about, I don't know, a year ago. I had a good contractor, big contractor, call me up, and he didn't use a lot of our products. He was using somebody else, and he said, Joe, he said, I just can't keep installing $300 and $400 Wi-Fi thermostats. He said, I need something that can compete, right? And I said, I understand. When we designed this product, we designed part of it. I was on the design team in Columbus, Ohio. We really went after an affordable solution for the marketplace. That was the #1 piece that we thought was missing out there. Something that was easy to use, something that was affordable, and we did a lot of things to this product to make it affordable. Some other things that we heard when we were talking to customers, and they said, hey, you know, if we don't have a common wire, we still want to be able to use our product. So we designed this product to be used with or without a common wire. We thought that was important. Other people said, hey, when we're configuring the device, you know, the internet thing is a nightmare. So it had to be easy. And I think that's what you'll like about our product. I've given it to people who have never installed a thermostat in their life, and they call me back and said, that was easy. You know, and my best story is my nephew, Kyle, and gave him a thermostat. They got married, him and Danielle, came back from the honeymoon. I said, when you get back from your honeymoon, call me up. Be happy to, you know, talk to you about the stats. So he calls up. I said, hey, Kyle, how'd it go? Good. I said, you know, I'm on the phone with you. Let me help you. We'll do the provisioning right now. And Kyle said, oh, no, it's working good. I said, you mean you installed the thermostat already? Yeah. I said, have you ever installed a thermostat in your life? You know, Danielle likes it too. So he was using it on his smartphone and her smartphone. Never installed a thermostat in his life. So that was an impressive story, and I keep hearing that story over and over and over again. So it's a good story, and it's something that we think is important. And so one of the other things was, hey, can you sell me a product for, you know, the $200 range? So we think all that's important. So these are great pictures. Oops, you're not seeing the same one I am. So these are great pictures. Some pictures I took on the bottom, right, about choices in 2012. If you went to a big box store, you probably saw one choice on the shelf, right? It was a round one, probably a Nest, right? And that was it. And everything else was a non-connected product. Then when you went back today, look at that same shelf. 50% of that shelf right now is dedicated to Wi-Fi thermostats, right? And if you start looking around, you'll see other choices. So if you were at Best Buy like I was, I mean, there's rows and rows and rows of connected products, whether they're light bulbs or, you know, locks, garage door openers. I mean, it's just about everything you can imagine is going to be connected. So that piece and part is bigger and bigger. I searched Wi-Fi, so I just typed in Wi-Fi thermostat on Google. I had 3.7 million results. 3.7 million. That's a lot of results. So, you know, check it out. It's definitely unprecedented, that's for sure. So I'll tell you a little bit about Sensi and why we like Sensi, and I'll pass it around so you guys can see the product. It's simple to install, like I mentioned. It does put you in control because you can use it on your smartphone, your tablet, or your computer. It has some really cool features. One of the features I like best we'll talk about, and that's the contractor branding for the contractors. We really push hard to keep the contractor and the homeowner together. We want you to be connected. That's important to us. And then we have some great support team. So here's where I try to do this video. Think we can watch that video? Yeah, maybe I can do it. Just push and click, and we'll see if this works. All right. All right, that's better than I can do it. So that's a little bit about Sensi. So that's the quick overview. We make the product. We try to make one product that would really replace everything. So it's a 4-heat, 2-cool product. It has a humidity sensor. It has automatic changeover. It has plus or minus 1 degree accuracy. I passed out a sheet earlier, and it's called the Contractor Resource Sheet. And if you see this sheet, it has Energy Aware on it. If you're familiar with Energy Star, I think she's back there. If you're familiar with Energy Star, the old Energy Star, that was part of the industry that let you know if your appliance was super efficient. You had a refrigerator, Energy Star, or TV. Energy Star went away on thermostats. So the guys in the back of the room can probably tell you exactly what happened, right? We just figured out everybody's thermostat was on hold, right? If you bought a programmable thermostat, it was so complicated, just like me with my 15 different thermostats. Our lives changed all the time, so it was easier to put our thermostat on hold. So the government said, why should we give you, credit for being Energy Star if the thermostat is on hold? So back to the drawing board, Energy Aware comes out. It's got to be plus or minus 1 degree accuracy. So Rodgers, I believe, might be the only Wi-Fi enabled thermostat that is Energy Aware because it is plus and minus 1. I'm guessing that my competition will probably do the same and have theirs as well. But what makes the thermostat even something that people really want is that it's Energy Aware because it's easy to program, easy to set up. And I'll show you that here when we get on to the app. I think that's really the most intuitive part about the thermostat. If you looked at this contractor resource, you'll see that it gives you some of the basic information on the features on the thermostat. It talks to you about the mobile app, about getting connected and downloading the app either on Apple or Google. And then it talks to you a lot about the contractor branding. So I'm going to show you that contractor branding here in a second. It's on my next slide. It talks to you about the alerts. We offer 5 different alerts with Sensi. That's the part where we connect the homeowner back to the contractor. We think that's very important. And then we talk about the customizable literature, marketing support, marketing content. Probably the best feature is the 800 number. So I always tell guys, I said, if you haven't installed a Sensi yet, go out in the field, grab your phone, put your phone on speaker, and even if you don't need Sensi support, it's our Geek Squad. There's a bunch of guys and girls in St. Louis. Have them on the speaker phone. If you run into an issue, they'll walk you through it. If you don't, you won't need them. Chances are you'll do it one time and you probably won't call them again. It's a very simplistic setup. But they're there if you need them, and I think that's great. There's one little thing that I want to talk to you about on the bottom of this page. It's called OTA. Anybody know what OTA is? Remember, over-the-air updatable. I was telling you about my smart TV that I bought from Vizio where it had a firmware update. Well, we can now push firmware updates to Sensi. We've never been able to do that before with any product. So it took a long time to make a change and an update to a product. If we wanted to upgrade the firmware or change a feature on a product, it would take months and months in reviews from other Emerson divisions or our corporate software guys, and then that review would come back and we make that change. And now, literally, we can push that overnight and have an update done to a product that we couldn't have updated before. So you'll see features on Sensi that you hang on the wall today, 6 months from now, it'll have new features on it. So that's very exciting. Matter of fact, that's probably the most exciting part about the product that I see is that this product is going to continue to evolve and have more and more features on it as time goes forward. No monthly fee, the app's free. Intuitive scheduling, there's local weather on the display, so you can pull up the weather in the morning, the high and low for the day, see what the temperature is outside. One of the last slides I show here is it works with existing wiring, so we talked about that as well. So I'm going to pass around Sensi quickly. So if you see the product, we built in a level on the product. Now, if you hang it sideways, it'll work just fine. It doesn't care, right? But it looks a lot nicer when it's level on the wall. So it's real simple. What I like about this product, too, is we give you a back plate. So a wall plate and that back plate actually connect. I should connect those two together, and you'll see them. They snap into each other, and so when you level the wall plate, you're leveling the back plate. Or the back plate, you're leveling the wall plate, too, which is really nice. So, yes, sir?
Not auto changeover. Does it have a one-time lockout?
Not yet, but coming with the OTA, which is really cool. So yeah, that's one of those features that lets us give you extra features coming down the pike. Nice display. We didn't build this thermostat with a high definition display or a touchscreen display. It doesn't have color built into it. You can't put pictures of your kids on it. I know there's some stats out there that do that, which I think is great. If you want to spend $600 on a thermostat, go for it. But we thought we'd make it affordable. So we put a low-power monochrome display, which has a nice display on it. It's backlit. It's easy to see, easy to read. It's got battery power, like I mentioned before. We use power sharing feature. So if you've got a common, you can wire it up with a common. You can leave the light glow all the time. If you don't have a common, it'll run on batteries for about 2 years. So that's really nice too. There's 2 jumpers on the back for our power sharing feature, that power sharing for W and power sharing for Y. And the jumper is actually built into the thermostat. So that RHRC jumper, if you got a 2 transformer system, if you got oil, the jumper's built in. Not many, you don't see much oil anymore, but it's nice. You don't have to mess with the jumper anymore. So that's one advantage to the thermostat. So there's a menu button on the front. If you touch the menu button, you can just simply forward through all the features. And there's 5 different feature sets that you can walk through. You can choose Fahrenheit and Celsius, choose the outdoor unit, choose the indoor unit, choose O or B. All those features are right here on the back of this menu, and that's it. So once you go through that, the last feature says hit connect, and then you're off and running. Once you push connect, it'll start flashing the Wi-Fi symbol. When the Wi-Fi symbol starts flashing, then you can connect it to your smartphone or smart device. So it's really a pretty fast process. My batteries might be falling out there without that back plate in. Let's see. There's a card to leave behind for the customer so they can connect on their own. It's a little Wi-Fi card, real simple. And then the mobile app is step by step. So once you download the mobile app, it will step you through step-by-step process. You can't get it wrong, which is really nice. And I'll show you that here at the end when we hook up Sensi. Sensi does have dual fuel built into it. We don't talk about dual fuel much, but it is dual fuel capable. If you set it up for for heat pump with gas backup, it will note automatically that you want to do dual fuel. It runs what we call our logic, and that logic doesn't have to use an outdoor sensor. It simply says if I can maintain temperature with the heat pump, I'll maintain temperature. When I can't maintain temperature, I'll call for the backup gas furnace. And it's looking at how it runs the last 30 run times, weighting the last 5 the heaviest. So it may determine not to go back out and try the heat pump if you have real long run times on your gas furnace. As those run times get shorter and shorter, it'll go back out and try the heat pump again. Okay? That's kind of cool. So, sorry. So this is one of the most unique benefits on the product, and that's the contractor registration or Sensi registration. Sensi registration is the part that I really try to get contractors to look at and use because I think it's probably the most powerful tool in the product. You can download, if you go to sensiregistration.com, that's in your contractor resource booklet, download your information and your logo. And once you do that, when you go to provision the thermostat, type in your phone number and your information will come up right in the bottom. And I'll show you that to you on the product too. This is the part, this registration part, where we really do keep the contractor and the homeowner together, and I think that's important. If you looked at products like the Nest doesn't want the contractor back in that house. The Nest wants to keep all the data and send it back to Nest, right? Not the contractor and the homeowner. And so we talked earlier about contractor walking through the house, right? Asking those 6 simple words, would you like to be connected? Well, what happens when the contractor doesn't? What happens when the contractor does what he's always done before? I'm the guy that's going to fix something. They walk down in the basement, they fix something in the basement, change the igniter, clean some sensor. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I got it fixed. And they walk back out of the house. Next time they come into the house, what happens? They look over on the wall. Oh, what's that you got on the wall? It's a Wi-Fi thermostat. Well, I didn't install that. Well, no. Guess what? The homeowner didn't wait till it was broke. They went ahead and replaced it anyhow. And so once that happens, what happens? Contractor, you're now out of that picture. That is no longer your piece of the pie. So it's a dangerous scenario for a contractor. Once that thing is out of the contractor's hands, you're no longer going to be involved on the thermostat side. And so that's why I implore contractors to ask that question. Get involved with that decision. Show the homeowner, hey, here's some choices that you can make if you're interested in going to Wi-Fi, so that they know that you guys have those products and that you've installed them and used them before. So I have put on your table a homeowner piece. This is a new piece from Rodgers. It is dedicated to the homeowner, and it talks about Sensi. It can be private labeled on the back with your information on it for the contractor. So we think that's important as well. And I think this is the piece that you leave with the homeowner when you're going downstairs to work on the furnace. I saw you didn't have a Wi-Fi product, but you had a lot of smart devices. Would you like to be connected? If you'd like to read about it while I'm downstairs, here's a piece of literature to look at. When I come back upstairs, I'll be happy to talk to you. So that's a piece to start to spark that conversation. It's an important piece. So what's the industry saying? Well, currently we are #1 on the iTunes and Google Play store, which is great. People like our app. And I think the reason they like our app is because it's simplistic. There's no planes, trains, and automobiles on it. It's just a simplistic, looks a lot like Apple, ISO 7, ISO 8. It functions that way. We designed it to look and feel that way. We wanted to make it simple. You won't have to show a homeowner how to schedule their thermostat. They'll figure it out. That's the cool part. You can go and get more education. We have Education Central on Blue Volt. Some of the contractors and wholesalers use that for the professional side of things. SensiComfort.com, that's our website. Lots of great information. FAQs on that website. You can find a lot of information there. You can control a thermostat from that website. YouTube, there's more and more videos. Ask Jackson what they're doing right now. They got a whole green screen room right next door because they're going to be doing more and more videos to put on YouTube to promote products like Wi-Fi and home automation. And so this is a way to make it easier for the contractors moving forward. And then, of course, local guys like myself that do the training as well. Lots of good marketing resources. We have personalized literature. You can go to our website. You can build your own literature with your information on it. Hey, if you got a spring home and garden show coming up, you can put Sensi on there, put your logo on it. Hey, we got a free thermostat. We want to make it free. An inexpensive thermostat, right? If you put in a new system. Check out the rebates from veteran and citizens. That's important too. And I think guys will like that. And you can build all that off our website. I showed you the resource and the handout as well. Help you promote that stuff. So, good stuff. Here's our Sensi support team. I do think it separates us because they're a dedicated support team in St. Louis. You'll notice the majority of the questions that we get, I think we answer most of the questions in like 15 seconds. So that's pretty cool. But most of the questions that we get are just on connectivity. How do I connect to my router? I forgot my password. What happens next? So, and those are pretty simple stuff for us. So check out the website. If you need more support, you can text information or send emails to Sensi support, and you can also call them directly. We're open 7 days a week. All right, what's next? So I promised you a little bit about what's next in the home house automation, where the trend's going on being a connected product. And if you'll see more and more app-driven products, we talked a little bit about those. And some of those solutions. And what's interesting is, it's not just Wi-Fi now. It's Zigbee and Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. There's Clear Connect, Z-Wave. I mean, the list goes on and on. I kind of remember 5 or 6 years ago, you had like Nextel phone, right? And then you had BlackBerry, and you had iPhone, and you had Android, and there was a whole bunch of different players in the marketplace, and that marketplace has gotten thinner and thinner and thinner. Now there's just Android, basically Android and Apple. So I guess Microsoft's in there too, but not a very small percentage. But I think that's what's going to happen to the home automation piece as well. So as time goes, you'll see that solution become smaller and smaller and smaller, and you'll probably have just a couple different players in that marketplace. But if you looked at just that where it was at just a couple years ago, some of those players aren't on there, but there are some new players in there now as well. So I'm not saying it's a simplistic picture right now. It should become clearer as time goes. I mentioned that we are in the process, or I hope I mentioned we're in the process of what's called an API. So that API lets Sensi talk to all the different home automation players. So we want Sensi to be able to play with a lot of different devices, connected devices, and home automation devices. So that's what we're doing right now. When that's done, that'll allow us some unique features and to be able to work with some other products that you guys have in your house. So that's very important to us. After that's done, you'll see things like limited range, keypad lockout, dual fuel outdoor balance temperature. We have a wall just like this, got 82 flashcards on it, right, with new things to add to Sensi. Seems like every time we take one down, we add 2 more to the wall. So it's an evolving product, and the API is one part of that. But that's exciting, and that's the future of what you're seeing in the industry, and that's where White Rodgers is going. So good stuff. And look at all those home automation players and energy management players. I see some power companies, I think, in there. What's next? So we have a product called, I'll get that eventually, same time. We have a product called Comfort Guard. That's the other part of our API. So that's another connected product that Emerson has. Comfort Guard is a home solution for HVAC solution where we monitor a system with different sensors that are on a system, and we can tell and predict when something will go wrong and tell you how efficient your system is. Comfort Guard's pretty cool. It's kind of in the beta testing process right now in a couple different states on the southern side, but I expect that portion as well as Sensi portion to merge eventually, and you'll see that in this neck of the woods as well. So if we figure out how to make it sell, and it's really going to be an exciting time. One of the VPs that works at White Rodgers put Comfort Guard in his house, and he got an alert on his app and said, "Hey, your capacitor's going bad." So he calls the contractor and said, "Hey, can you bring a 5 at 370 capacitor over the house? My capacitor's going bad." The contractor's like, "Huh? Okay." So he goes over, changes the capacitor, checks it. Sure enough, it was going bad. And he says, "Hey, Ron, how'd you know that was going bad?" Comfort Guard sent him that information. So that's pretty cool. We've had contractors install systems, hook up Comfort Guard. It's told them, "Hey, your system's not operating efficiently." They're like, "What?" Going back and check, the charge was bad. So it's a really cool technology that gives the homeowner the same information that the contractor gets at the same time when something goes bad. And I start talking to contractors about this, and I tell them, I said, "Think about this. When are the majority of your calls? When do they come in? When do you get your calls? What time of the day?"
Typically mornings for us.
Mornings, okay. And what other time? Probably like 6 o'clock at night when the homeowner gets home and finds out they're, right? And either they know you're going to be around or not around to leave a message on your machine. What about during the day? Not getting any call?
Especially on Friday.
5:30 of Fridays. Yeah. Well, the great part about Comfort Guard is it's always monitoring the system, and it's going to give the homeowner and you the same results. So when you show up to replace something, the homeowner knows why you're there, which is really cool. And you're not going to be bombarded in the morning or Friday at 5:30. It'll be throughout the day. And so that you can, how many times you talk to contractors like, "I send everybody out in the morning, and they're all sitting around in the afternoon, got nothing to do. And in the morning, we got 1,000 calls to make," right? Because they get the calls at night or in the morning. But they'd like to have those things spread out. So this is one way that that'll happen. All right, so yeah, it's connectivity. We're in the process of that journey, and it definitely isn't one destination. I think it's going to be different destinations for different people. But consumers are wanting more from their HVAC equipment, and they want to be connected, and they want to have it on their phone and their tablet, and they want to be like me and drive back from somewhere up north and turn on my furnace and have it come out of setback and start running its program and be comfortable in the house when I walk in. And if they have kids like I do and they were on a 2-hour delay like mine were this morning, I have a 2-hour delay set up on my thermostat. I could push a button and it goes into a 2-hour delay mode because I have 9 different schedules, and I can use 250 thermostats on one account. So I can have multiple stats, like we have one in my house. We have an art gallery. I have a demo. I sold 52 thermostats for the first application that I did because the controller in a 4-building area who had a jail cell, who had a chamber of commerce, wanted to be able to see all his thermostats on one computer terminal. He had a huge energy bill, but nobody cared. Everybody walked out of the building, right? And as they walked out, they left it at 72 degrees because that's what they had always done. Now he can monitor every one of those thermostats and make sure they're all going to setback. Payback's probably 2.5 months for him. It's going to be huge. So it's different things for different people. I've got a father-in-law who had Alzheimer's, and he had one of the simplistic thermostat we make, Easy Reader. This is probably the easiest thermostat we make, and it got to the point where he couldn't understand it, right? I can control his thermostat from my phone. He had a problem, I could get on and make sure it was working the way it should be working. I was up in Fort Wayne with, and I was demonstrating, this is before I had a demo set up, I was demonstrating my app to a customer on my phone. Just turned the air conditioning on for a brief so you could see it turns blue. It's kind of cool to see it turn blue, right? And I get a text from my neighbor. She goes, "Hey, your air conditioning's making some weird sounds." Uh-oh. So I turn it off right away. I'm like, don't touch it. So I think I sent a text to my wife. Something wrong with the air conditioner. Later on during the day, she's like, "Honey, it does make a really loud sound." I'm like, "Why are you running?" So I come home at like 9 o'clock at night. I got the ladder up on the air conditioner. I'm looking inside the air conditioner, hoping I can figure out what's wrong with it, right? And I look down, and the wires between the condenser motor that go across, the little wire ties have fallen down, so my wires are hanging in, so the fan's banging up against the wires, right, making a loud noise. So I fish the wires up, wire tie it back up, get my phone out. What do? I turned it on, fired right up, started running. So guess what? It's a service tool. So there's another unique feature on the app, which was kind of cool. So I could turn it on and off from the app, which is really neat. So along with the alerts, which are really neat. So when Mr. and Mrs. Smith are down in Florida and their furnace is running and it's 14 below like it was this morning in Indiana, and they see their furnace has dropped 5 degrees, right? Something's wrong. They can get an email that says, "Hey, I need to call," and it's got the contractor's name right on the app. Push the button. "Hey, Jason, could you stop by my house? Something's wrong with my furnace. Here's the garage code." Bill used to watch the house, but kept drinking all my beer, so I don't want to build my house anymore. So lots of different things. Home automation, right? Not just a fad. Big market, getting bigger and bigger. All you got to do is walk into Home Depot, Lowe's, and you'll see that for sure. This was interesting. Bill Alderson of Ream, he's the director of marketing at Ream, says, "Hey, we're seeing a big shift right now," and they've started to gear up for spring home automation classes. And they're seeing ACA and RSES do the same. So you're going to see more classes like this, talk about home automation, the home automation hub, how products interact and communicate together. Yes, sir.
Can you share that app, just like some service companies do their own network, so your service company would monitor your equipment as well as
Yep. So we've looked at that, and that was kind of the original play, and that we were going to do kind of the homeowner and the contractor, and then we backed off of that route because we were afraid the contractor would show up at the homeowner's house. "Hey, I got an alert, said that your air conditioning wasn't working, and the temperature was up 5 degrees," and then you find out the homeowner had the doors open because they were having a gigantic party at their house. So we decided right now, not that it's not going to happen, because it might, and with Comfort Guard it does. It does exactly what you just described. Right now we're just sending the alert to the homeowner. What's cool is we're sending that via email right now, but the homeowner, after this API is done, we're going to send it to them via the app. So now the app is going to alert them as well, and the app will pull up your phone number and your logo, Mr. and Mr. Contractor, and they touch the button and they're calling you. "Hey, something's wrong with my system. I just got an alert." So that's what's coming. That's where the homeowner stays connected with their system, and that's a very, very powerful tool for the contractor. Any questions about Sensi? Before I jump over talk about the White Rodgers mobile, I'm going to walk you through the Sensi app. I got to do it from over here. I just push this button. Yeah. I'm going to try to connect. You'll see the same thing that I'm seeing on my tablet. So this is my house. My system is currently not running. I'm going to switch. I have my house, a demo, in the studio. We have an art gallery my wife and I have, so I have 3 different thermostats right now on this app. But I could put up to 250 thermostats on the app if I wanted. I'm going to switch over to the demo just so I don't turn my furnace and air conditioning on at the same time. So in the demo, which is sitting in the house, we have a 33% humidity. Currently the temperature in Indianapolis is 25 degrees, the high and the low. And then you'll see my setback that I have as well. So it's in cooling right now, but when it's gray, it's idle. If I bring on the cooling, you'll see it's going to go from gray to blue. And when it goes to blue, then I know I'm in cooling mode. And I know that my air conditioning will be on. I'm on cooling. There we go. It's only as fast as my internet connection. There we go. Now my cooling's on. So now the cooling's on at my house, and I'm running air conditioning on my demo, which isn't hooked to anything, so I'm not really running air conditioning. I can select heat, cool, auto, auxiliary. I'll switch it over to heat. At the bottom, you'll see that little timeline. That little intuitive slider bar at the bottom is my setback. So in heating, my setback is different. It just switched over. My next setback for heating is 62 degrees at 10 o'clock. And then at 7 a.m., I'm switching to 7 o'clock. So now my cooling is off, and I'm back to idle. If I raise it to 74 degrees, the screen is going to go red. It'll catch up here in a second. It's only as fast as my Wi-Fi. At the top, so now I'm in heating mode. At the top, I select the selection button, the menu button. It pulls down the menu. I'm just going to show you the scheduling feature. So right now I have my scheduling on. If I hit Edit Schedule, there's my schedule. Well, I've got a snow day, a vacation day, and a regular heat day all programmed in. I can have 9 different schedules on it if I want, which is great. When I get into that schedule, so I'll jump into heating schedule. I've currently got it set up for a 5 and 2. If I wanted Wednesday and Thursday to be different, I just push a button, and it jumps Wednesday and Thursday down. So it's as easy as touching a button. If I want 7 days all the same, I just push them all, make them all the same. If I want Monday and Sunday different, I can make Monday and Sunday different. They're real simple to hit. If I want to see the schedule at a glance, there's a little 7 at the top. I push 7 at the top, and then you can see the schedule at a glance. That's what we can't do right now with the thermostat. So if you talk to a contractor, that's the biggest issue with a programmable thermostat. Once they set it up, what happens? Just as they're walking out the door, Mr. and Mrs. Smith say, "Would you mind? I want to go from 6 to 6:15." Right? You ever had that happen before? You're like, oh boy, now I got to get back into that stat. How did I have that thing set up? Do you remember what I had? But now it's all right there in front of you. So, and it's real simple to see and easy to use. I push a button, it goes away, and I'm back out. So I'm telling you, the homeowner ain't going to ask you how to. They're just going to figure it out. All right, so if you hit Edit Schedule, it's going to pull up the schedule. Right now I have 4 setbacks. I can have up to 8 setbacks a day. So if I want 8 setbacks, I can have 8 different setbacks. Then my little slider bar is there. So I'm from 7 o'clock to 5 p.m., actually from 7 to 10 o'clock, I'm at 70 degrees. And then at 10 o'clock at night, I go to 62 degrees. If I push, let's just say the 7 o'clock, I want to go to 7:15, I just slide it up, and I can make it any temperature I want. And you'll see that ball fall up and down. Real simplistic. All right, so that's a little bit about the scheduling. You can hit multiple schedules, which I have on, so that's why I had all my schedules on. Early start. We renamed. We used to call Energy Management Recovery our EMR. Honeywell calls theirs Adaptive Recovery. We thought the homeowner wouldn't understand what Adaptive Recovery is. Ask them what EMR is. They don't know. But if you said, "Hey, early start for your setback," oh, you mean it's going to start early to come out of setback? Yeah. So now I'll start early. By the time I get to 7 o'clock, it'll be right up to temperature. Oh, okay, I get that. So we try to make it simple. And that's what's really cool about the app. Settings. If you get into settings, you can look at the demo, the name, the time zone. You can look at thermostat information. It'll tell you how long the system's been running. So if you have a current run time or you don't have a current run time, what version you're on, what firmware, what the name of the thermostat is, how your battery life is. I got pretty good battery life. I've got it set up for gas, single stage, right? And a heat pump with 2-stage heat pump outdoors. So it's basically a dual fuel right now. Okay?
Will that run an evolution?
It won't work on a communicating thermostat or a communicating system, no. Thermostat display, I've got my humidity being displayed on my app. I've got my time and my continuous backlight on. So if I've done this before where I toggle my backlight off and you'll see the light turn off. I'll toggle it back on, you'll see the light turn back on. If it's battery powered, it just operates just when you push the thermostat button itself. It won't stay on, and you won't get that feature. So if it doesn't have a common wire, it's not going to say continuous backlight. So there's one less thing for you to think about. That's the way the stat operates. If you don't have a heat pump, it's not going to give you some features on the heat pump. If you don't have 2-stage, it's not going to show a 2-stage boost. So try to keep it simple. That's the nice part about the stat. Under advanced settings, you can do an AC protection. I call this the fool your husband, fool your wife feature. So you can do a temperature offset of plus or minus 5 degrees. Cycle rate, you can do a fast, a slow, or a medium cycle rate. So slow is about 2-degree differential, medium is about a 1-degree differential, fast is about a 0.5 degree differential. They're really not that. I'm just giving you some generalities, but just think of half, 1, and 2. Okay. So a slow differential was going to give you a long run times, but less cycling. Fast differential will give you a lot of cycling, right? But very accurate thermostat, but a lot of on and offs. Most people will be happy with medium. And then at the bottom, this one's got a 2-stage cooling system, so it's got a boost for cooling. If I had a 2-stage heating system, it would have a boost for heating. So if I raise it 3 degrees, it brings on 2nd stage right away. If I turn that off, it tries to delay 2nd stage. Here's the best part. So I mentioned the contractor information. So if you type in your contractor information, and under the provisioning, well, put me in. So there's me. If I hit save, I'm on there. So now, if I have an alert trip, my phone gets an email and the contractor information comes up. I push the button, I'm calling the contractor. Okay? It's real simple to do. You do that during the provisioning portion. The homeowner's over at the neighbor's house. Who do you use? Oh, I can't remember the guy's name. Wait a minute, it's on my phone. Here's his phone number. Now you got some free advertising too. Okay. There's a help center on the bottom, feedback, and log out as well. So if you want to log out of this account, and maybe you have different accounts, you could have multiple accounts, which is really nice. So once again, so here's the gallery. Oops. Here's the gallery. It's probably 65 degrees in the gallery, I'm going to guess, because that's where I usually have it set. There it goes. No, that's my house. So the house is set for 70 degrees. And there's my setback. So at 10:15, we go to a 67-degree setback. And then all I got to do is push the button at the bottom, and it jumps right into my setback. So now I can do my programming.
Your furnace was running, correct?
My furnace is on right now. That's why it's red. Yep, at the house. If it was blue, I'd be calling my wife right now. But if it's gray, it's idle. It means it's not running. I don't know if I can get the gallery to work or not. That's a little bit about Sensi and the product itself. Oh, I know what I was going to show you. I passed around the catalogs, but in lieu of the catalog, the one thing that I use the most for White Rodgers, and if you're a technician, this is the best thing. If you've got a smartphone, Emerson makes a lot of different apps. The White Rodgers app is really, really handy to have. So if you type in WR Mobile, one word, under your iPhone or under an Android, under your Play Store, this will come up. And what's great about this app is that it's basically cross-referenced for everything that we have. It's always up to date, and it's got tons of information in it. I love catalogs, I love visor cards, but they're never, it's out of date already. I've given you a brand new catalog, it's out of date, right? But the app will be updated all the time. So catalogs are great for about a month, and then after that, you know, they're old. But so if I touch the top button, it's going to say, hey, what do you want to cross? Well, I'll just type in a competitor's part number. Here's an S86, and it's going to pull up all the S86 modules that Honeywell makes. I touch the button, and then it says, okay, S86 crosses over to a 50D50 843. That's my direct spark module. Well, if I looked up the top, there's the installation instructions, so I push the installation instructions. Because I know on that module, there's chips that go into the side of that module, and they set up the timing for that module, which is why our module is universal. So now I see the chips in the side of the module, and I scroll down, I say, you know what? I'm going to blow up and see what the color and the timing is for each one of those chips. Well, that's something that you wouldn't get on a visor card. You could find that in the catalog, but you may or may not have the catalog. But if you've got your smartphone and you're down in somebody's basement, that's irreplaceable. There you go. Somebody already downloaded it. Nice. We did do something different this year, which is really hot, which I really like, besides the support information. And that's the replacement heating controls under, and it's hard to see it up there, it says search by OEM. So if I search by OEM, I can pull up Carrier, Goodman, Lennox, Nordyne, Rheem, Trane, York. So if I said, yeah, I can, there's a Trane, I want to look at ignition modules. I don't know if that first ignition module. So there's the first ignition module. I've got a furnace, it's got a 50A50, 3797. Well, I can either buy a new board, 3797, I can buy the 50A55843, or I can buy my Universal Rescue Kit, the 50M56U843. So there's 3 different options, which is great. And you can compare features if you want to compare features. This is a powerful tool, and we are really, really excited about getting contractors to use this tool. If they're out in the field, this can save them time and get you to the next job and make your life more profitable, and you don't have to work on Saturdays and Sundays anymore because you made so much money using my app, which is free. Okay. All right. That's it on the app. A little bit about Sensi, about where we've started back in 1500 all the way through today, where we've been, where we're going. Any questions on Sensi? Support, catalog, the app? I know I cruised through it, and I've been through my 1 hour. Yes, sir.
Does the name have any meaning? Somebody just come up with a name, or is it an acronym?
The WR Mobile?
No, Sensi.
Oh, Sensi, yeah. So Simply Sensible is the name of the acronym, yeah. So some guys are like, is it sensei, like your karate instructor? And I'm like, yeah. Usually I go with yeah, because I like that the best, but I think it's supposed to be Simply Sensible. Like I said, I was able to be on the design team. We designed, at Columbus, Ohio, and we were really after something that was simple. And it's a really neat product. It really is. And once you start to use it and you get it on your smartphone or your tablet, you're like, oh, I should have done this a long time ago. Yeah, and then you'll see how easy it is to schedule. This is interesting. So not this year. Last year, I've had it on my wall. I had the beta team. I've had it on my wall for 2.5 winters. It saved me, I guess this is my second winter, it saved me $250 last year over the year prior, so 2013 versus 14, which was awesome, right? And I did not put it on my wall to save money, right? I just put it on my wall because I like gadgets. I'm a gadget guy, right? But we started using the setback, and even if it was a 4-degree setback every day, that equated to that much money. And when we were gone, I set it back. Even if we're on a volleyball game or we're on vacation for a week. So all those little things that were before I was like, I don't want to set it back, or I would only set it back 1 or 2 degrees because I want to come home to a cold house. Now I set it back because I don't care. I get off an airplane. When I'm in that airplane, I'm checking my thermostat on my phone. So that's a powerful tool, and that really lets you, you'll get more out of your thermostat that way, and more savings. And the veteran guys will tell you, they start talking about load shedding and demand, resource, energy stuff, and they like that stuff because they don't have to build new power plants because you're setting back at different times, and they don't have to use as much energy. So that's cool too. So we think that's really where things are going. All right, anybody else? Thank you very much for the time.
Application to when they get paid. They're not bill credits. They've had in the past, and it is on both the residential and business side, $20 programmable thermostat rebates. They're still going to have those. Same thing, doesn't matter, as long as they're a veteran or citizens, residential or commercial. But on the residential side, this Wi-Fi rebate pays $100. If you've got some that you've done since the 1st of January, you haven't turned them in, turn them in. You got 60 days residentially to submit from when you do the job. And there's a little bit of gray area for, you know, if it's a little bit beyond that, I can fix those. So let me know. We want these rebates to go out. Same thing. If you buy these at half price today, trust me, you call me and I'll coach you and you'll get $100 for that. I don't care what you pay these guys. We'll get you $100 for that. You can try it out, see what it's all about. And I know you guys have participated. I deal mainly with, you guys at Chapman have submitted a bunch of rebates. I know you have at Perky some, Mission has. I'm not sure what your company is. I haven't seen any there. Randy is the one that handles your rebates, and I've talked with over there. He's on top of it. I think everything that you've got, I used to work with Tom McKinney,
Okay.
but everything you guys have got, what we're getting rebates on. I know you have up at Perky or sending them in. Mission, you guys have sent some in as well. But these are, the other thing, like all the other rebates, but I'm only going to talk about thermostats since it's appropriate what we've got. You can assign that rebate to the customer. And I was a little mixed about that when they first started, you know, all the rebates you can. Because I know you guys' business is due upon completion. Now you got to wait a couple weeks. I mean, you don't have to wait as long as the customers. We'll turn those quicker when we see the contractors getting the money than it is when it goes to the homeowner. But you still got to wait when you don't have to. But you can use it, some contractors are using it to push them off the fence. Let's say your thermostat, and I don't know what it is, your Wi-Fi is $250. You know, let's face it, there's a lot of mistrust with utilities out there. You can tell them, listen, if you only paid me $150, would you be willing to do it? They just got to assign that rebate to you. I mean, it can go to them if they want it, or they can assign it to you. So some people are using it. Same thing. I know we had a school system that didn't have the money to do boiler tune-ups. When the contractor offered to take it off his bill and get the rebate, it pushed them off the fence. So that's an option for you too out there. But we're really customer people. Anything we can do. You got any problems on the rebate front, don't take the heat. It's our heat. Call us and track us down. But I think this is going to be a great rebate. Appreciate everybody at Jackson letting us come in. And you know, anything we can do, that's all we're here. We don't sell anything. We're trying to facilitate rebate applications. So anything we can do, just let us know. Thanks, guys. Yeah.
And you have one for a customer?
The threshold is different. Citizens will allow 2 per customer. Veteran will allow 3. That's a good question. And I don't run into a whole lot of houses that got more than 3 systems, but they will allow multiple just at those 2 levels. 2 for citizens, 3 for veterans.
That printed off both the forms, but do they fill out most of that stuff online, or do they call you, or they fill out the form? How do they?
You can do it any way. They've got it online where you can go in and complete them. A lot of times, you know, they're going to want some homeowner information, their account information. You can fill them out and you can email them. You can get with me. I've got electronic editable apps, so you can save them on your computer. They operate like a merged document. But you know, all of the above, you can send any of those in. I also have citizens and veteran hard copy rebate applications. So if you think you're going to pick some up tonight, go ahead and take the applications. I've got them. If you don't, email me. I've got cards. I'll make sure you got plenty.
Clarification on the three stats for one residential
home? Yes, per residential account. So if they've got one house, now if they've got multiple.
What happens if they have one unit that's on zone control and they have 3 zones?
Yeah.
And then they have 3 Wi-Fi stats.
They're going to only qualify for 3 of those stats,
Okay.
but they will qualify for the 3.
Well, as you guys know, Jackson Systems does zone control.
Yes, there we go. Two on the veteran side.
Zone control, 3 stats. Help us out.
$300 rebate.
The other thing is,
Hey, I'll give you a shot
Way
there.
to slide it in.
the other thing is the utilities, and we do too. We maintain an internal list. There's an external list on Veteran and Citizens website that they call a QPL. It's a qualified product list. Mainly for the processing center, when they get an application with your stat model, they just pay it. Anytime we have a new measure, and this is a new measure, it takes us a while to populate that list. So if you get one that's rejected because it's not on the list, call me. I'll put it on the list within a day. You know, and if you, same thing, let me know what the models of your stats that you've got. We'll go ahead and be proactive, add them on now. That way we'll kind of head them off so we don't get rejected coming out of the gate. We can fix those, but it'd be easier if they just flow right through. And the same thing, if you can keep us informed on any changes. You got some new models out there, you can always look online. If it's not on their website, we don't have it, send it to me, and I'll get those on within a day. But thanks again, I really appreciate your time.
Thanks for the time, information, absolutely.
Any other questions for either of the guys? Well,
Beers in the refrigerator?
beers in the refrigerator.
No driving.
Well, thanks for everything, Joe.
Thanks, guys.
And, appreciate you guys' time. You guys have any questions? You want to stay and ask Joe? then
IPL,
feel free to.
Which company?
not residential.